Okay, so a couple years ago, me and Gabby checked out a trailer for the Sony Pictures animation movie, The Star. And since, we checked out the trailer and since we're getting close to Christmas time, at least from the recording of this video, I figured that now is a good time for me to check it out. And what did I think of this movie? Let's talk about it. Alright, so what's up everybody? Blood Moon Bobby here. So yeah, basically since I checked out the trailer for this movie, and even though I didn't think it looked particularly interesting or even that good, I still wanted to check it out because I do want to, actually see the movie itself, not just look at the trailer and say, oh, the trailer, for The Star looked really shitty and that's the end of that. But I still really wanted to see it, and the reason I didn't get around to seeing it earlier was because I got so bogged down in other things. I got caught up with all kinds of other, news stories. And the fact that The Star didn't look like a particularly good movie because of the way they were trying to tell the story just kind of pushed it down and down and down the list. But since we're getting close to Christmas and I really want to start reviewing a lot of the movies that we've done trailer reactions to, I figured, why not give this a shot for this Christmas? Even if it, wasn't a particularly good looking movie, I still wanted to, give my thoughts on it and actually see the movie itself. And guess what? The movie itself is about as good as that trailer that me and Gaby checked out, So what exactly is The Star about? Well, The Star is literally about all these characters coming together and for the birth of Jesus. Except in The Star, they're joined by some really unfunny animal characters. And the protagonist of this movie is a donkey named Bo, and he's joined by a really unfunny dove named Dave, played by Keegan-Michael Key, which really stinks because I think Keegan-Michael Key can be a really funny actor. My sister has shown me many clips from Key and Peele, but just this movie doesn't really utilize his talent or the talent of the other actors for that matter, except for one, which I'll talk about in a second. And they're also joined by a sheep named Roof, who is also not really funny to me. And yeah, I mean, a movie about, the birth of Jesus, it should be, a movie that should be timeless, it should be really dramatic, and it could be, funny, especially, since, this being, a movie that, is clearly, made for kids. It could still, be funny, but the way they tell the story with the really obvious kids movie jokes, and the songs are very split down the middle, and the way the characters talk, they talk in a very typical bad kids movie kind of way. It's a very modern sort of way. Just all this together, just the way they're trying to tell the story, it just does not work. So I'm gonna get into organize my thoughts a bit and talk about why I didn't like this movie. I mean, I've already talked about how when I say really bad kids movie jokes, I mean they do things like a lot of butt jokes and things like that. Like there's one scene where there are these guard dogs that are trying to get Bo, and so to distract them, Dave the dove does this really weird dance. He shakes his butt a bit, and it's just not really funny. Another example of a really bad joke is there's a scene where Bo is trying to warn Mary and Joseph about that the guard that's coming to get at them, and of course they do the thing, Bo being a donkey, Mary and Joseph, can't understand him, he's just going, hee-haw, hee-haw, so they resort to this really unfunny game of charades where, Ruth also gets roped in, and Bo pretends to be both Mary and Joseph, and just, not really funny jokes at all. I especially think, adults that check this movie out are really not going to find this, movie funny at all. Another example of a really bad joke in this movie, and I guess because in this movie Joseph is played by Zachary Levi, he has this sort of uneasy kind of comedic rivalry between him and Bo, just like a certain other character that Zachary Levi played in a really good movie I much rather have watched. But that unfunny relation, it's a very unfunny relationship, and it even comes across as even a little mean-spirited. Like when there's the scene where they inevitably blow up and Joseph tells, Bo, you're a good for nothing donkey and things like that, just kind of makes him come off as unlikable. There's a few, I will admit, there's a few like, well-intended scenes that are done okay, like the scene where Joseph is, he's really conflicted after hearing the news that, Mary is, pregnant with baby Jesus, and it's a lot for him to take in, and he even prays to God for help. Like that scene, I thought was well done, but as for the rest of this movie, but as for much of the comedy in this movie, it just doesn't work. Another thing that doesn't work about this movie is the animation. And boy, does, like, the animation quality, it just looks like a made-for-DVD movie, maybe given with a little bit more of a budget, especially when they do things like the close-up shots, I guess are okay. They do get things like hair texture right, but in things like, nighttime scenes, especially with really heavy shadows, the shadows just look really undetailed and really kind of flat, and just doesn't work at all. And especially scenes like, I would say, especially medium shots with like, a whole ton of people walking around, they just look, really undetailed and just not, very nice. It's just not a very nice movie to look at. I mean, close-up shots generally are done okay, but much of the animation quality of this movie, it just feels low quality. It just kind of feels like a made-for-DVD movie that's given more of a budget. I mean, the one thing that I was kind of able to get into was I thought that the villains came off as kind of threatening, unless they're doing really comedic stuff. Again, just comes off as unfunny again. The one character that I thought was legitimately intimidating, though, in terms of the villains, was Christopher Plummer as King Herod. He doesn't want baby Jesus to come along because, he doesn't want, a new king to come to replace him. But I think that's just what happens when you have, a really amazing actor like Christopher Plummer. Can't go wrong with him. And, most of the actors in this movie, Zachary Levi, Gabriel Iglesias, Keegan-Michael Key, when they do, projects where they're given, a lot to do, or when they do things on their own, like, I really like watching Gabriel Iglesias' stand-up. I thought, he does, really amazing impressions, but they're just given really unfunny stuff to do in this movie. And also the pacing, I thought, was really inconsistent. It's the kind of inconsistent pacing that whenever there's, like, a really tense scene, like, like the scene where, Bo and Joseph blow up, or even the climax scene where the guard that's coming to get, Mary and Joseph is defeated. They end in a sort of way where it's like, wait, that's it? It just feels kind of anticlimactic. Like the resolutions just come way too soon. It's not that the pacing is too fast or that kind of thing. Just this whole movie has that kind of feel where by the end I was like, wait, that's it? It felt kind of anticlimactic, so clearly a sign of really sloppy screenwriting. So yeah, and also the music in this movie is really split down the middle. Some of it is done in a really classical, timeless way, but half the music feels like it's done, in a very, sort of pop style, and it kind of feels, really out of place. And again, I know a lot of the things like the comedy, the modern way of talking, and even, some of the music, it's done in a more modern way, so in order to appeal to kids, but it's not done in, a really timeless way. I honestly think for The Star, if they did it in the style of maybe the 90s Disney movies were, even though, yeah, some of them have, modern references here and there, but, if they did a thing where, they spoke in a more, timeless sort of way and made the characters more likable. I mean, Bo the donkey, he's just that, kind of typical, kids movie protagonist where he's like, oh, I've got, really big dreams. I want to be part of the Great Caravan. And he doesn't realize the really big thing he has to do is get, Mary and Joseph to Bethlehem and that kind of thing. So it's just, yeah, so he's not a really interesting protagonist. And on one last note, in terms of the comedy, they do a 9 months joke, where at the very beginning of the movie, when the angels come down and tell Mary that, you're going to give birth to the Son of God, that scene takes place in, as the movie puts it, 9 months BC. Get it? yeah, as expected, the Star, not a really good movie, not a very funny movie. And just the way they, they tell this movie with this perspective. Not that animal characters can't be done right or that the material can't be. It can definitely be done for kids, but the way they're trying to tell the story with this really like modern talk and really unfunny jokes, it just, doesn't work for me. I think, kids definitely deserve better. And Sony Pictures Animation themselves have definitely done, made much better movies. I would easily recommend like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse any day over this, if I'm being really honest. So in the end, I mean, The Star, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen or anything like that, but it's definitely an unfunny and even kind of boring movie with the way they're trying to tell the story. On a scale 1 to 10, I would honestly give it a 5.8 out of 10. So, yeah, that's about it. I mean, the one good thing that comes out, the one really good thing I felt come out of this movie is that I finally get to review this after checking out the trailer all those years ago. And I don't want to make like super firm promises in case my schedule, I can't match up with my schedule, but I do want to check out some more movies even before Christmas, especially ones that I didn't get to before, especially ones where I've done like trailer reactions for before. One movie in particular I'm looking into is the Universal and Illumination animated Grinch movie with Benedict Cumberbatch. Oh my god, I remember, getting so worked up over one of the trailers. I was so mad that I literally hit my head using a Avatar DVD I just had lying around. So I'm hoping to get to that and some more down the line if my schedule allows. So yeah, so until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it, and feel free to leave a comment. Subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell to get notified when I release my latest videos. Follow me at Blood Moon Bobby on your favorite social media platforms to take part in polls, see my tech tips, and to hear about my video plans. Thanks for watching.